Okay, this is section 6.1, page 1, and we've got lots of definitions because we're starting a new chapter on circles. So a circle is the set of all points in a plane that are at a fixed distance from a given point, which is called the center of the circle. So if you wanted to draw a circle perfectly, you know you have your compass to do that. But another idea is, suppose you wanted to make a great big circle outside somewhere. You would take and put like a thumbtack or a nail or something, and then attach a string and then go around like this, and a pen attached to the string and go around, and that's how you could create a circle. All right, so we've got some terminology associated with circle. Well, let me go back here. So we're talking about a fixed distance, meaning the same distance. So we'll get into that as we go through later. All right, so this is the way we denote it, with a little center in a circle. So this would be P, and the center of the circle is P. Okay, so P is we just said, center. Okay, so center of the circle. Points A, B, and C are what? Well, A, B, and C are actually on the circle. Okay. And then P and R, where are they? Well, P and R are inside the circle, or we say are in the interior, okay, of the circle. Whereas G and H, here these guys, are on the outside or the exterior, okay, of the circle. All right, on to the next definition, radius. Radius is a segment that joins the center of the circle to a point on the circle. So that fixed distance we're talking about here, from the center to a point on the circle, that's called the radius. So let's go ahead and write that. The fixed distance is called the radius. Okay, so here, this is the fixed distance from the center to a point on the circle. So in this picture, we have a lot of radii. That's the plural of radius. We have PS. We have PT. And I don't want you to think that you have to list the center first. You can do it the other way. So with this one, we could call it WP. Okay, so notice that in each case here, I put the bar over the top because we actually are referring to the radii, to that actual segment, okay, to the radius. So here it says all radii of a circle are congruent. Well, if it's congruent, we need the proper marks. So I've got the wrong marks. Go ahead and fix that. Okay, so what's congruent to each other? Well, PS. Okay, so PS is congruent to PT, is congruent to WP. Okay, so those are all the same length. Now, if we want to refer to their length, we would say PS is equal to PT is equal to WP. Okay, so when we put the equal sign in, we're talking about their measures are equal. Their measures are equal. Okay? All right, so now, next definition. A chord is a line segment that joins 2 points of a circle. So here's a point on the circle, here's a point on the circle. So that would be AB is considered a chord, and so is CD. So I want you to notice that in one case, we go through the center of the circle. In the other case, we don't. They're both chords. If we happen to go through the center of the circle, we have a special name for that. We call that the diameter. So AB is a diameter. And I want you to notice that a diameter goes from one point through the center all the way to the other side of the circle. So if we think about, in respect to a radius, this would be a radius, wouldn't it? And this would be a radius. So what do we notice here? Diameter equals what? 2 times the radius. All right, that's the relationship between the two. Okay, what about congruent circles? Well, congruent circles are two or more circles that have congruent radii. So if they're the same size, then they're congruent. Obviously, a circle is going to stay a circle. The shape isn't going to change. So all that we need is the same radii, and that makes them congruent. Okay, some more definitions on arcs. So what is a minor arc? Well, it says here it's less than half. So if we put a point here and call it A and a point here and call it B, and then talk about the arc in between. Okay, so let's make that thick so you can see it. Okay, we'll call this A and this B. Okay, and so that's the arc AB. So that's called a minor arc. Semicircle. Well, I think you probably all know it's halfway around the circle. So let's go ahead and let's put the center in. Okay, so the center's about there. And let me just, with my pencil, draw in, the diameter here. So if we say, we'll make that the diameter. Okay, then a semicircle is going to go halfway around. So we go from here to here and all the way around. So this is a little hard to do here and make it pretty. Okay, so this is A, this is B, and that's considered a semicircle, halfway around. Okay, finally now a major arc, and it's more than half, but less than the whole circle. So we're going to start like here and here. And notice what I'm sorry, we were calling it CDE, so let's go ahead and do that here. Let's call this C. Now, why 3 letters? Because it could go this way or that way. So to make it clear, we're going to put a 3rd letter on there so we know which way we're going. Okay, it's this side of the circle. Okay, now to our major arc here. So it has to be more than half and less than a whole circle. So we want to go around this way. So notice how we're going to denote it. We're going to start off with W, then we have to say which way. So we're going to go ahead and put like an X here, and then we can put a Y, and we can put a Z. So then let's color this part in here. Ooh, way off track there. Okay, so these are our points. Going to make them great big so they show up. Okay, so how can we denote it? Well, we can denote it as W, X, Y, Z. Use all of those. Or we just really need 3 to say the path. So W, X, Z would work. W, Y, Z, or even backwards. You could say W, X, Z, X, W. But you don't want to just say W, Z because that could be this one here. Okay, that's it for page 1. Let's go on to page 2.